If you've been injured by a drone in Georgia, you might not know where to turn. And so this video is going to talk a little bit about the drone laws in the state of Georgia and what you can do if you have an injury case. Drone law is extremely new, and so most states and local governments are still desperately trying to see what they can do to get up out ahead of the potential injuries and issues that may arise. Here in the state of Georgia, a few local municipalities or cities have just started being test markets to see whether or not certain retailers are going to start delivering packages, groceries, or other items via drones. But many of these communities are nervous or scared because they don't understand what it's going to mean, both from a nuisance standpoint with the sounds of the drones, the buzzing that you might hear all hours of the day and night, but also with injuries. We all know that sometimes technology fails. And so what happens if a drone falls out of the sky, or a package is dropped from a high elevation, or a drone gets out of range from one of its remote controls? What's going to happen in those situations? And the truth is we don't really know yet. Because the technology is so new, it's something that definitely people are keeping their eye on. But that doesn't mean that some of the traditional laws that already exist in Georgia would not also apply to a drone injury. So we're going to talk a little bit about those laws, what they might mean, and how you can help yourself if you're in a situation where you find that you're injured by a drone. First off, drone injuries can occur many different ways. You could have a drone or a piece of a drone that falls out of the sky. You could have a package that is dropped from a high elevation and ends up hitting a person or some property. Or you could even have a situation where a drone leaves a package in an unsafe place and somebody trips and falls over those packages. These are all various different ways that an individual could be injured by a drone in the state of Georgia, especially a drone that does deliveries. And so are individuals, do they have a remedy? Do they have a way to recover if they're injured from a drone? And the answer is yes. But who you recover from might surprise you. You see, some of these major retailers are using their own drones to make deliveries, but others are also hiring drone companies. And so you might find yourself in a situation where the retailer who is sold the package might point the finger over at the drone operation company, and the operation company might point the finger back at the retailer, and then you're going to be stuck in the middle. That's why you're going to need an attorney who has experience handling drone cases to know who's responsible in each specific situation. Because drones still have an obligation to operate safely. Just because there's a drone doesn't mean that they should be flown or operated any less safe than any other vehicle that's on the roadway. And so the same laws are going to apply to those drones. But one thing that's a little bit different is traditionally, aviation law has always been governed by the federal government because traditionally it governed airplanes and various regulations on planes. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what law is going to apply to these type of cases. Is it going to be federal law, which is traditionally governs aviation, or is it going to be individual state laws? Or even local government laws, even a city or county's ordinances? Are there going to be ordinance violations that are going to cause these types of injuries? And the truth is that an experienced lawyer is going to look at all three. They're going to start with the federal laws and see what obligations that drone company has for to be in airspace, to be operating, and whether or not those laws will apply. The second is traditional tort laws and state claims. Traditional injury laws like negligence or doing things that are in violation of some code or some law or some ordinance. Those are called negligence per se. And so if there's any negligence on the part of any of these entities, say maybe they failed to maintain the drones properly, or maybe they failed to charge them fully and that's what caused them to fall, those traditional negligence aspects will still apply to those drone cases. Because I would expect that sometimes they're going to blame the technology. They're going to blame the manufacturer, and they're going to say, hey, we didn't do anything negligent as the retailer. So if I'm a big box store and I'm selling groceries and the drone just collapses and falls out of the sky, they're going to say it must have been a defect in the manufacturer, and so you need to sue the manufacturer. And so this is going to be a common thing I think we're going to see over and over again, of this pointing the finger at all these different entities. And so those traditional state laws that would apply are also going to be very important to determine who's responsible or who's actually at fault for the specific injury. And then last, you're going to have local ordinances or local bills that will also come into play. So let's say that a drone operator is operating improperly in violation of some code requirement of a local city. Well, that can be used to establish what's called negligence per se. And that's saying, listen, if you violated a code or a statute or something that was there, you're automatically negligent because you were doing something that the government distinctly told you not to do. And so that is another way that you can establish liability in these cases. But every case is going to be different, as you can see, because an experienced lawyer, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to want to do a full investigation of why the incident actually happened. What caused the drone to fall out of the sky? Was it a manufacturer's defect? Was it that the drone was not charged properly? Was it that maybe the components were not maintained right or oiled properly? Or was it just a glitch in the technology? Because depending on what is the specific cause is going to depend on who's responsible for your injuries. And so because of this complexity, it's almost a reverse of a typical injury case. So the first thing you need to determine is what was the cause of the incident, which usually in most cases is like step 2 or 3. So what is the cause of the incident? So then you can know the exact entity of who's responsible. If you're thinking of handling your drone injury case on your own, I would highly not recommend that. Because the reality is as you can see from this video, this is a complex technical determination, and you might end up suing the wrong entity, and then the deadline expires, and it ends up being that somebody else is responsible. And so these type of cases, it's very important to get a lawyer involved very early, to start discussing with them so they can conduct their investigation. So lawyers like me can send our experts out to do a full review and investigation of the incident and basically an inspection of the drone so we know what happened. Also talk to witnesses, talk to other employees or the drone operators so that they can maybe give you an indication of what actually happened. But as I stated, drone law is very new and we're still trying to wade through this. And so the last thing you want to do is to handle one of these cases on your own. So if you would like for us to take a look at your case, we do free consultations. I'd be more than happy to review your case to determine whether or not it's worth pursuing or whether or not you need a lawyer who understands these type of claims and can help you navigate through this particular process. Because drones are the future. They're popping up everywhere, and the reality is it appears to be that more and more retailers are going to go to drone deliveries. I would anticipate that very soon you're going to see situations where the major online retailers, major grocery stores, major big box stores are going to shift away from traditional deliveries in trucks and vans and go to the drone delivery. And so if you can just kind of get out ahead of this, if a drone injures you and you don't know what to do, go ahead and give us a call or talk to a lawyer in your area who understands drone law and what it requires so you can know that you're protected. So if you like getting these updates or learning more about these kind of unique injury type claims, obviously this is what we love here at our law firm. And so I'm going to continue to give you free advice, these free updates of these kind of things to watch out for or interesting cases to review. So definitely like and subscribe. But stay safe, everyone. And until next time, thanks for watching.